Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hey, this is Danny. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. I can hear you. I'm just busy finishing setting up all the live streaming, and then just to give you a little bit of background, it's about 45 minutes. Then the stream ends. I will tell you when it goes live. There's about a 3 seconds delay. Then we live. If there's any questions, only me and you are on can see the chat box. So if there's any questions, I would put them in the chat box for you, and then you can answer that. Especially if you want to engage with everyone. They will be engaging on a different program. So it's just basically copying and paste all the information over. Um, do you want to present anything? Do I need to share my screen with you?
Actually, if you can see behind me, I'm using a monitor behind me with my
Okay.
slide. So
I
will that
can
come through?
I can see that very clearly, so I don't need to share my screen with you. So you're going to be fine presenting on the screen behind you.
Yes, and one thing that I would trust, Natasha, that you would be on there because I don't know who's going to participate with a role play. If there's a question, would you be willing to be the participant, the seller, for example, to role play with me?
Um, I can definitely. Don't you want one of your participants to be part of you? Because if you ask a question, they can answer, and I can type it on for you in the chat box.
Yeah, well, I won't be okay. So I won't be monitoring the chat box much because of my positioning with the screen and stuff. However, I can. Now, will anyone on the program, the participants, can they talk or are they muted?
They're all muted. That's only me and you are on. And I'm not really, as I say, I'm more the financial manager. So I wouldn't know if I would be answering the questions in the right way that you would like them answered, because I'm not physically involved in any of the selling. So it might not be the best thing for me to answer your questions at that particular point in time. There's no other one that's going to engage through Skype as such. It's just that we're all engaging through the other app, which unfortunately, we have to copy and paste everything into the chat box to give you some information. I don't know if there's any way else we can do this.
Is there anyone that you can that is more agent centric? I just need someone to be a consumer, a seller. I
Let
don't.
me just, yeah, yeah. Let me quickly just ask, just hold 1 second for me. I'm quickly going to ask some of the people about. Just give me a couple of minutes. We're busy arranging for you someone to go live with.
Okay.
If you would want to give us a couple of minutes, I'm going to mute myself. We're just quickly going to, and then what I'm going to say, as soon as we've got someone on live, I would definitely tell you as long you can just, and then as soon as we're ready, I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you, Natasha. moving back and forth, it changes the light.
Hi, we've got a couple of people joining. So as soon as they've joined Skype, I'm going to let them in. Then you would be able to have someone that's going to talk to you and you can ask questions and they're going to be able to respond to you.
Okay, and who might that be? Do you have a name?
It's Natasha and Dion Terblanche and Anushka Libber.
Oh boy, I have to work on those names. Tasha. Okay.
Anushka and Dion.
John.
Dion.
Oh, Dion.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm omitting Dion. Dion, can you hear me?
Just 1 second. Yes, I can. Is it Belinda speaking?
Yes, it's Belinda speaking. So you've got.
Hello, Belinda.
Hi. How are you?
Good, thanks. You?
I've got Denny on the other side. He's
There's
the
my video
gentleman.
feed done. Yes, I can see. Hello, Denny.
Hello, Dion. How are you? Thanks for pitching in. I may need to come to you to do a little role play. Is that okay?
I hope I can help.
Just have to be a normal consumer. You guys, you are a consumer and you work. Are you an agent yourself, Dion?
Not currently, Denny. I'm an OP, so I don't have a team running at the moment. But I've done that quite extensively in the past.
Awesome. So it'll be, you can't screw up.
Okay.
No pressure.
Well, I'll try my best not to.
Hi, Anushka. You online as well?
Thank you.
Hi, Anushka. Did I see you were you on one of the other programs this week? You look familiar, like I've seen you.
Yes, I have been on 2 sessions.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Guys, you've got 17 seconds and you're live.
Okay.
10 seconds. 5 seconds. And you're live.
Hi, greetings. I'm Denny Grimes. I'm a Keller Williams agent in Naples, Florida. In fact, I Googled today to find out how far we are apart. And I was surprised to see we're only about 7,700 miles apart. I'm on the southwest coast of Florida, right on the Gulf of Mexico. And we're noted for great water, beaches, and awesome weather. And, we're about as far apart from a time difference too, I understand. You guys, it's morning here. We're having orange juice, and many of you guys probably are ready to have a mimosa. So it's my pleasure to come in and talk to you guys about something I'm very passionate about. I've got 37 years of experience, and throughout the last 30 plus years, I've been learning what didn't work in order for me to learn what does work. So today we're going to be talking about winning more listings by asking great questions. Now, Gary talks about the 3 L's: listings, leads, leverage. And so our market is inventory starved because of some things that have taken place this year. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Every market, regardless of where you are geographically, is always in transition. Gary Keller says, if you don't like the way the market is right now, well, just wait. It'll probably change. So I'm going to be, when I talk to you guys, I'm going to be doing some role plays because I know agents love to listen to role plays. I've got some helpers online to be with me, and I'm going to be using the formula that this is my style. I'm not a black belt. I don't do karate. I just know for people that do martial arts, there's many different kinds. The same ways in conversations with buyers and sellers. My style of karate, so to speak, is question-based, listening enhanced conversational scripts. I'm also a Bold coach, so I've taught Bold for 4.5 years. A lot of great material there, a lot of good scripts, and agents sometimes struggle over memorizing scripts, and then they have a hard time using them because it doesn't fit. I have found an easy way to incorporate all that. And the key, you guys, the key is this: asking strategic questions. Now, there's no bad questions when you think about it. It's going to be very simple. This will be a lot of fun. And so if you have an objection you'd like to role play, just put that in the chat. And I've got a couple volunteers, and we're going to do that. Everything that I do in a conversation with a client, buyer, sellers, all question based. I don't do any telling. Now let's talk about the difference between good questions and great questions. So I've got some folks on here, and Dion, you were on first. I'm going to ask you a question. This hasn't been rehearsed, correct?
No, it hasn't, unfortunately.
So who knows? He may get this one wrong. I said he can't get anything wrong. He might get it wrong. Who knows? So let me ask you a question. Dion, what month were you born?
I was born in September.
Now, that is a definition of a good question. Why is that a good question? Because I learned something. However, if you want to ask great questions, you have to ask this. Dion, if you could be born in any other month other than the month you were born in, what month would you choose to have your birthday in?
I actually love having been born in September because it means that I get both a birthday present as well as a Christmas present.
You're breaking the rules, Dion. That's not the answer. You can't choose September. Give me another one.
If I'm just pressed to go for another month, I think I would have gone for October because they say that's when summer really starts in South Africa.
Well, what's interesting, the difference between a good question, thanks, you got that one spot on, Dion, nice job. I'll come back to you. I won't sign you off yet. The great question is when you ask it, you learn something and they learn something. Because understand, we teach in Bold, the Bold law, logic makes them think, and what? Emotion makes them act. Right. Well, as we learn many times, there's the other side of that law that no one really talks about. Logic makes them think, emotion makes them not act, meaning they don't buy, they don't sell. And the emotion that's holding them back is fear. And what's interesting is questions, when you ask a great question, you notice, although I had to struggle with Dion a little bit, he had to stop to think about it. Many times when people are in fear, they're not in logic. So when you make them think, sometimes as they process that, you're actually drawing the emotion away and putting a little bit more logic on the equation. And sometimes they'll say, well, that really didn't make any sense, or whatever. You're going to help them self-discover. For example, and if you have ever been challenged memorizing scripts, watch this. And I'm going to get Anakoska, is that right?
Anishka.
Huh. Okay, Anishka. Okay, so here, this is a simple one. If you are walking down the road and somebody pulls over and says, "I'm lost," what goes through your mind? What would be your response?
Could I assist? Where are you heading to?
Awesome, because that's the question. And the brilliance and the simplicity is this. Akosha could know directions to 100 different locations. However, if you just ask the clients where they are, a starting point, you will not have to go through what I call throwing sticky notes on the wall and hoping something sticks. You're going to say, well, where are you going? Every client has a starting point. And when we ask the questions, we have a better opportunity of being able to help them to where they're going. So you don't have to memorize a lot of scripts. You just ask, well, I'm going to the market. Okay, awesome. Which market are you going to? So we'll demonstrate that. That's how simple it is. Now, let me give you the 10-year history in about 10 seconds of the US market. Look at that straight up. We have agents in our marketplace that, I mean, yeah, they've been in business less than 10 years or up to 10 years. They've never seen a buyer's market. Our market has been marching forward steadily for about 8 or 10 years. And then all of a sudden, what happened? I don't know if you've read about it. COVID's kind of on the horizon, and basically a lot of people talking about it. My 37 years of real estate, I just want to put this in perspective. Let's just talk about the event. Understand there's a lot of trauma, emotion, and suffering in that. So I'm just going to set that aside and look at this clinically, no pun intended, okay? In the real estate world, this is what Gary talks about as a market disruption. There's been market disruptions before in the US. I live in Florida. We had a Gulf oil spill. We've had recessions. We've had wars. We've had 9/11. You understand, you've had your own too. Sometimes they're localized. Sometimes they could be global, like we're seeing now. Every market disruption has the same pattern. It's just spelt different. What happens in any market, there's always a level of uncertainty. However, when the market disruption happens, uncertainty increases and fear steps in. And this is worth writing down. And remember, you guys, because your clients, many of them aren't moving forward that really want to move forward because they're in fear. And all the preaching to them in the world won't change that fact, because fear is a terrible advisor. We need to help them logically lead them out of that emotion, like I said a minute ago, into logic. So the way we do this, Gary talked about this in the Shift book, we have to decide if we're going to be empathetic agents or sympathetic agents. Let me illustrate. I'm sure everyone on this call, many of you on the call anyway, have had children. If you haven't, you probably were a children at one time, right? So you might remember your first day of kindergarten. Now, when kids go to school, they're on two ends of the spectrum. This young guy here looks pretty happy. He's got new clothes on, brand new backpack, probably a Spider-Man lunchbox with an apple for the teacher. He's not afraid to go into kindergarten. Kindergarten for the first day is the unknown. So there's the parallel. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, maybe you had a child like this. Maybe you were a child like this. I call them the clinger. There ain't no way, no how that kid's going into that classroom, because they're not going into that unknown. Now, the parent has a choice to make with a clinger. Do you want to be sympathetic or empathetic? A sympathetic parent's going to say, hey, honey, I don't blame you. I don't like the looks of school. I don't like the smell of it. I didn't even like my first day of school. Why don't you come home and live with mom? All right. That's a sympathetic parent. The empathetic parent's going to say, honey, this is going to be awesome. Don't worry. I'll be back soon. And look, there's Tommy over there. And look at all the toys. This will be a great experience. I love my first day of kindergarten. Besides, I got a tennis match. Hurry up, get in there. Okay. So anyway, that's the empathetic parent. This is how it relates in any kind of a market, upward, downward, or flat. You've got people that are on the sidelines because of fear. Gary says in Shift, buyers and sellers need someone, us, to come alongside them, put our arm around them figuratively, and help them what? Overcome their reluctance. And you do that best, in my opinion, by not preaching at them. You do that by asking great questions. And so when our market started out great, then COVID hit the second quarter, our sales fell 40%. You guys might have had some of that too. I don't really know exactly. However, you understand what I'm saying. Now, this is the brilliance of Keller Williams. Gary came out in June and said, now's the time to get sellers back into the market. Our market was down 40%, yet he was kind of looking ahead, seeing like, you know what? Sellers need to get back in this market because it's going to get better. And I think that he's probably even surprised at how much better it got, at least for the US. And I'll show you that in a minute. The US market is on fire. Gary was exactly right. In fact, this came out yesterday that our home sales are the highest they've been and prices in 14 years. So I call this basically the market we're in the US, the GOAT market, the greatest of all time. 37 years of real estate. I've never seen a market have this much good and no bad. Now, the interesting thing is, as good as the market is, you would think that every seller out there would want to be capitalizing on what I call a white hot market. That's not true. There's sellers that are on the fence. You have buyers and sellers on the fence in your market as well. And the way to get them to off the fence is going to be a series of questions, which I'm going to share with you. However, the first thing that must happen is your mindset. You can't get somebody out of fear if you're in fear. You can't jump a dead battery with a dead battery. So your mindset must be positive about this whole environment. Like, for example, if you were walking down the road and found this wallet on the highway and it had all that money in it, and I think you guys use rands, right? Well, anyway, you've got that money in there, and there's an ID, and you know how to reach the owner of that wallet. No one would have a hard time reaching out to them, say, listen, I found your wallet. I'm sure you want this back. They would be very thankful. Now, why wouldn't the agent have any hesitancy making that call, or back when it was legal, knocking on a door? Because in their mind, they're coming from contribution. Our mindset must be the same when it comes to basically taking the message that now is the best time to be in the market, because for whatever reason, for us, because the market is on fire, right? And it's even good for buyers because there's been upward trend for the last 10 years. If you understand, that could be the extra money that those sellers are getting from their equity. That could be the extra income you're making from a commission that you could be feeding your family and putting your kids in college. That could be the extra profit into the market center. So really quick, I'm going to give you 5 sources of potential sellers. I call them shadow sellers that probably not many people are thinking about. And I'll give you the questions to ask them. Then I'm going to give you 7 reasons why sellers should be in the market now. Maybe all of these apply to your market. You can take the ones out that don't. And my favorite is 3 easy ways to attract sellers to you. You have any questions? We've got people watching the comments, or any objections you want to hear. And I know I probably talk funny. You probably think I have an accent, right? That'd be really funny. I'm actually from Ohio. People from Ohio don't really have any accent. So let's talk about shadow sellers. There's 5 sources. There should be, could be, used to be, just might be, and the ones that are on the market now. All right. So I'm going to go through these one at a time. Define it, get your cameras ready. So you want to take a screenshot. I'm going to give you the question, the script to use when you're looking for these, okay? These particular shadow sellers. Remember, a potential seller is not looking forward to moving. They're not looking forward to the process. It's kind of like someone says, look, I had my dentist say, you better get that tooth fixed. Now, dentist, going to the dentist is not one of my things I do for kicks and giggles, right? I put it off. Eventually you go because you want the benefit. People want to go north. They want to go south. They want something bigger. They want something smaller. That's the motivation. That's the key. That's the gas that makes the car run. However, they're afraid of the process. We have to be like advertising over here. If you've seen the commercial for Office Depot or Staples, the easy button. We must be the easy button for them. So if they have motivation and they're parked, the right words, the right question might get them off the fence. The should-be sellers are sellers that should be on the market right now. We've seen prices go up 20%. Right now, our inventory is really short. Many times we're getting multiple offers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I understand your markets maybe move in that direction. If there's sellers out there that really want to be in a different location, a different size house, a different neighborhood, and they're not moving, the reason they're not moving is because they're fearful. You have to counteract that by a simple question. This is the script. Notice I've got 2 colors because I'm going to go through 4 scripts. They're all about the same. The white's all the same. It's the question that's different. These are people that should be on the market or not, meaning they have motivation to move, yet they're fearful. This is broken up into what we call in bold a open face sandwich. We're going to come from care and concern first. Hey, Dion, how's it going? How you doing? Hover there a minute and have a conversation. And then you're going to go into the second part. Well, the second reason I'm calling you is I wanted to let you know there's an extreme shortage of inventory. And I wondered if you were interested in hearing the 7 reasons why sellers should be on the market now. Now, that is a great question because they don't know what the 7 reasons are. Now, the beauty in this, and people have been talking about in the last few days during your family reunion, getting in touch with your database, which again, some people have a little reluctance in doing. When you make a call to the database, there's only 3 outcomes. No, I'm not interested. Yes, I am interested. And well, I need to know more. You win in all three of those because if an agent, a great agent, is not attached to the outcome in any particular call, what we're doing is building relationships that sooner or later they will be a buyer or seller. And so that's the question. And then, if they're intrigued, they will basically ask you, well, what are those 7 reasons? I'll give them to you in a second. The second type of shadow seller that no one is paying attention to right now is this: those that could be on the market. Gary said this at Mega Camp. He said, there are sellers out there that are thinking about moving in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, maybe when the twins graduate high school or whatever. What if you had a conversation with them and said, you know what, would you like to take advantage of the market today? And they say, well, no, I don't want to sell because the twins are graduating high school. Well, let me show you the question you would ask them. Just the yellow part. If you could sell your home for more money now, would you entertain more money now? Would you entertain selling now versus later? And they may say, well, no, I've got my kids graduate high school. I'm not going to move yet. Well, then let me ask you, and one of my favorite scripts and questions is this: write this down. It's an expression we use in the States all the time. How would you like to have your cake and eat it too? Now imagine there's no calories in that script either. So the question is, how would you like to have your cake and eat it too? Well, what do you mean? Well, what if we could find a buyer in this white hot market that would give you exactly what you wanted for your house, and you could stay there until your twins graduated high school? Really? Do you think that'd be possible? Well, do you think there's not maybe a buyer that would love to have this house, but they're not ready to move yet either? And so if it were possible, would you at least want to explore the possibility? You see, it's the questions that make them think. In our market right now, yes, there's people buying because of COVID, homes sight unseen, and they're buying homes and they're giving sellers whatever they want because our inventory's too low. So those that could be on the market, go have the conversation. Now, I don't know how this works in your marketplace, and I understand your MLS is not exactly like ours. Here we have those that used to be on the market. This is shadow seller number 3. I don't know if you have an easy source. However, you may know of people that had their property or home on the market at one particular time and it never sold. Generally speaking, properties don't sell because they're generally not priced right. The agent wasn't given good advice, or the client wasn't listening, or both, right? However, now the market now may be marching in that direction. And so we are going back to people that had their home on the market. Sure, I mean, obviously a month ago. However, how about the ones that took them home off the market when COVID hit? They may think COVID may be an issue, or a year or 2 ago. It's a gold mine out there, and we have a pretty good resource through our expired and terminated MLS. And the script is really simple. If you could sell your home for more money in this market, would you entertain listing your home again, or would you entertain putting your home on the market with me? That's the question. So take a picture of that. Then also the other one is, the fourth one is those that just might be on the market because of COVID, particularly, and the rise in the market. Gary Keller even talked about he was selling some of his investment properties. My wife was on, Kristen Cole, a couple of days ago. I think she's been on a couple of panels. She sold her investment properties. Why? Because they were maxed out. We have in Southwest Florida, as you can imagine, we have a lot of people from the north. We call them snowbirds that have second homes here. Well, they may not feel safe or comfortable traveling back and forth anymore. So do you think people that own property where you are right now that maybe used to go back and forth, even from the States, you call them up and say, listen, if we can get more money for your home right now, or your condo or your beach home or whatever it happens to be, would you entertain taking advantage of the market? Because they may be fearful about flying, and that might be a listing. No one's calling them and giving them the message. And the last one really is, if you have homes in the market that are not selling. This is another class that I teach, and I'd be happy to come back in anytime you guys want and talk about the price, the physics of real estate. If you have a listing that's not selling, the script that I have for you, and this works in our market, it may or may not work exactly in your market, is, again, same script. Hey, I'm concerned you're going to miss out on a sudden uptick in the market because you're not positioned right. I always talk about positioning, never pricing. It's all about positioning. They don't want to lower the price. They might reposition though. Do you know there are only 3 outcomes when you list a home? Would you like to know what they are? Now, I think I'm going to show you what I think is the most important listing form on the planet. I go over this with every one of my sellers, and when you list a home, There's only three things that can happen. There's only three. Around the world, I've never heard of another outcome. Number one, if you list a home and expose it and you're marketing the property and you have low to no showings, that means the beta's here, the fish are here. That is a positioning issue. If you have a home that's worth, if you don't mind me using American dollars, $300,000, and you list it at 400, 500, 1.5 million, you probably won't get a lot of showings, right? Nothing you can do can cause that house to get showings if it's too far out of the realm of market value. So that's outcome one. Outcome two is you get activity on it. You get showings and no offers. That means the bait's still a little bit too high. It's going to take repositioning. Outcome number three, it sells. That form right there, if you want it, you can have it. There's a PDF of it. You just go to Denny Grimes Mastermind on Facebook, and I think you put in your email address, you'll see the PDF. I'd love to know if that type of strategy works in your marketplace, because I believe it works universally. If you don't get any action, you're way too high. If you get some action, it doesn't sell, you're a little bit too high. Outcome number three, it sells. So you guys, you can put in the chat if that is cool or not in South Africa. I don't know. However, that's the form I have them initial. Notice that form has no branding on it. You could put your branding on it. And every follow-up call I have, talking about questions, when I call my sellers for a follow-up, and I set the appointment at the listing, every Monday at 4 o'clock, I'm going to call you. Is that okay to give you an update? That's very important. If you're going to maintain happy sellers, you must communicate. At 4 o'clock, I'm going to say, do you have your fishing form handy? Why? Because they're not going to remember it. Every week, I'm going to go back to that, because everything is dictated on the number of people that might be looking at that home. And if there's no one looking at it, you probably have a position issue. So really quick, let me just go through 7 reasons why sellers should be on the market now. You pick out which ones are the best for you guys. I imagine there are some reasons. You might have to modify the list a little bit. Number one, we have an inventory shortage. Well, inventory shortage is an advantage seller, right? It puts the pressure on prices, so prices are rising. That's always a benefit to the seller. Number three, there's less seller competition because of COVID. There's people in your marketplace, sellers that could be on the market aren't because of COVID or whatever reason. Well, if they don't come on the market and the people you're having conversations with do come on the market, that's an advantage for them because there's less sellers competition. What we're finding right now too, this would be true in your market. If you have buyers that are buying in a COVID market, they're probably a little bit more serious and motivated. The looky-loos and the brick kickers aren't out looking at homes just for the kicks and giggles because, of COVID or whatever. So the buyers in the marketplace are more serious. So that's an advantage seller. We're seeing that in a spike of buying activity. We're probably having 5 or 6 buyers for every seller. Again, it's a good reason for a seller to be in the market now. And our interest rates are crazy low. I don't know what yours are. I mean, we're down. My first house, like a bazillion years ago, was at 14%. And we had 18% interest rates during the time I was in real estate. They're under 3 now in the US. So that's pretty crazy. And Gary said, the window's open now and it won't last forever. So for us right now, every time the sellers play the slot machine, pull the lever, coins are coming out. It's just been crazy, particularly the last quarter. It won't always be that way. So if you want to get out your camera and take a picture of those 7 reasons, you can use it, because one of the things we're doing is we're marketing that to our sellers. We're marketing that in our socials to get sellers, right? And that's what I'm going to be talking about next. 3 easy ways to attract sellers to you. Before I do that, is there anything in the chat I need to know about or any questions that are popping up? Not yet. All right. So here we go. If you don't have the listing inventory you want, advertise for it. If you're working with a buyer, and this is not a new idea, it's just adapted to the social networks. Say, look, I'm working with a buyer that's looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, this size, this location. Does anyone know a potential seller out there? Now, I don't know that your phone's going to ring off the hook. However, if you get a couple of calls, these could be a couple of potential leads that no other agents know about, right? So use your socials like that to look for buyers. It used to be, we taught in Bold, that we'd go around and knocking on doors, and we'd have Tony DeCello, who is Diana's husband, would have a piece of paper and said, listen, here are the buyers I'm working with. By the way, you don't have the name and the phone number of the buyer on there. Do you know anyone in the neighborhood who wants to sell? Well, just use the social networks. We put this in the social networks. Hey, there's 7 reasons why sellers should be on the market now. We also send it out in our email blast and our constant contact blast. We had 5 sellers in the first 24 hours that received that call and ask us, well, give us the 7 reasons. Remember, there's sellers out there that are on the couch because they don't know it's a good time to be on the market. Go help them. Gary says in shifts, this is idea number 2, to bring sellers to you, is be the local economist of choice. There's a lot of ways to do that. One thing that I set out doing a number of years ago, and I've been working on this for 20 plus years, is that I started sourcing the local newspapers. Well, the newspapers aren't as vogue right now as social media and the TV. So I morphed into doing a CBS affiliate spot every other week called Real Estate Matters. And I give them some information. They give me 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes. It's really fast, right? Starts to brand me as the expert. Again, if you go to the Denny Grimes Mastermind Facebook page, I have this video right here. I'm not going to play it. However, I have the video on there. If you want to watch it, it's 2.5 minutes telling sellers why they should take advantage of this market. Now, I'm not suggesting you would show that to your clients because I don't know that Florida values have anything to do with your values. However, it would give you a format. What would it look like? This would be very simple for you to do, is just take your phone and have a minute and a half once a week on an update on the market, an update on the condo complex or the neighborhood in which you work. Start to brand yourself as a local economist of choice, because when there's fear, people are looking for more professional help. So if you're a newer agent, start doing that, because a lot of agents aren't doing that. And a lot of you guys don't know maybe how to get ahead of the news stories. I don't know who your opinion leaders are. Obviously, Gary Keller, it could be Inman News. In the States, the National Association of Realtors, Lawrence Yun, Y-U-N, you set out Google alerts. Who are the opinion leaders in your marketplace, in your country, that basically, when they speak, like E.F. Hutton, people listen. So you send out the Google alert. When they publish something worthwhile, you'll see the headline, and you can make a 1 minute, 1.5 minute video about it and break it down to what it means to your people. Awesome idea to make the phone ring, right?
Love it.
All right, next. This is the highest leverage, the most fun, the most ridiculous idea you've ever said. Do y'all have WD-40 in South Africa? You know, the oil spray, WD-40? We've
got something similar, Denny.
All right. Well, you know, when you, all right. So when you're, I have a metaphor here. When you're grooving with people and you're in relationship, let's say you just closed on their house, and buyer or seller, you've been communicating to them probably pretty often. When you're in communication regularly, it's like having gears that are well oiled, and everyone has the intention of staying in touch with people even after closing. However, a lot of us, believe it or not, don't stay in touch the way we want. And as time goes on, it becomes more awkward to make that contact. And so those gears look like that. And it becomes so awkward, you don't even call them at all. And then one day you drive down the road and you see somebody else's sign in the yard. Has that ever happened to anybody? And it could be your family. Oh my gosh, right? So if you want to build this relationship back up, what you need to do is get the rust off the gears. And you do that with WD-40. That's what I'm talking about. When you spray that on rusty things, on hinges or whatever, it gives it a lube job. So I'm going to give you such a wild idea that you guys will love this, and this will put a lot of money in your pocket. Again, this is how you're going to get back in touch with your database, because it's a gold mine, right? A WD-40 in my context is a text. It's not a call. You're going to love that, right? No rejection in a text. And the important thing is the text has got to be out of the blue. So I know right now, everyone that's watching this has somebody in their mind. There's always that nagging, I should really call them. I should. It's been a year since I talked to them. You just don't know what to say. This is what you do. You get their number, their cell phone number, and you send them a text out of the blue. And for example, I'll give you what it looks like. You can add a picture. Now you're not going to be able to read this, so I'll just read it at the bottom. I was going to teach a class in Tampa, a little bit north, and there's an agent that was in my bold class, and we used to have conversations back and forth, referral back and forth, and I was out of a relationship with him. So I thought, hey, Paul, Denny Grimes here. I'm going to zoom into your meeting this morning. I trust I'll see you. This is our golden retriever named Tally. Really, the name is Talent, because Gary Keller says you want to have talent around you all the time. So our dog is named Talent, right? And I go on to say, hey, I understand you're a dog lover as well. Take care. I did not ask for business. I did not ask for referrals. I just, is a touch out of the blue. Now, how did I know that he liked dogs? Why? Because I went to his Facebook page. Yes, you can call me a stalker. I went to his Facebook page. So these people you want to reach out to, why don't you look on their socials? They may have somebody getting married, somebody graduated, somebody had a hole-in-one. Say, hey, I just happened to go through the social. I see you had a hole-in-one. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. You know what will happen? They'll text you back. Believe me, your past customers are not sitting there with a calendar marking a red X through every day you don't call them. They don't. It's kind of like when you leave your dog for a day or 2 weeks. The dog doesn't know how long you're gone. They're just glad to see you. They'll be glad to hear from you. I sent this one to somebody else, and I knew that we all talked about flying, and this is a touch out of the blue. You don't have to have a picture with it. However, it just gives them something to look at. It can be just a simple text. I said, hey, Sean, I saw this online. It made me think of you. I trust you're doing well. Can't wait for Top Gun 2. Yesterday, I had my team send out the headline that we just 2020. We took a screenshot of the article. 2020 was the strongest year in 14 years. Just want to share this with you. I trust you're doing well. You don't have to ask for business. They're going to come back and talk to you. Went to London. I texted a client of mine. I made $45,000 in commission over 3 sales. And then for the last 3 years, I had no contact at all. Felt pretty awkward. Her name was Dorothy. I went to London and I was there. I said, I'm going to text Dorothy. And by the way, you don't have to go to London to do this. You can stay at home. I texted him, I said, listen, Dorothy, I'm in London. I just remembered this is where you're from. And, it's really exciting to be here. And it made me think of you. I hope you're doing well. I didn't ask her any questions. I just reached out. Now, 3 years had gone by and no contact. 20 minutes later, ding. Oh, what are you doing in London? It was like we just picked up back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's spraying a little WD-40. Sooner or later, you guys, that person's going to ask how you're doing. Oh, yeah, I'm in real estate. The market's awesome right now. Blah, blah, blah. Glad you asked. It will get you back into a logical phone call that will make sense. So now's the time you guys get to participate. Now I got some experts on the phone too, that I can probably get Dion's name closer than
Anushka.
Anushka. What an awesome name. So we're going to do a role play. Now for the remainder of the time, this is your time. What would you like to see demonstrated from a seller's perspective, a buyer's perspective, an objection or situation? Because if anyone can stump me, out-script me, I will enter you into the drawing for tickets to Greece. It's my favorite movie. Okay, so does anybody have something they'd like to role play? You can chat it in there. Show the 7 reasons again. I'll come. All right. So while I'm waiting a second, I'm going to respect who's ever put that in there. Here are the 7 reasons. Take a picture of that and get out of your way. What objection do you guys hear from people in your world, buyers or sellers? And I'll demonstrate question-based, listening-enhanced conversational scripts. Anybody? Well, it's just us, I guess. I don't know that there's anybody else on here, so we might as well just. What are your agents? Here, Dion?
My goodness, there are many things. I'm trying to think now. What's the most prevalent one that we get? We're already working with another agent. That's something we hear quite often. We have a different situation in South Africa where we can sometimes work on what's called an open mandate, which means that there's more than one agent or many agents who can sell, and they don't want to give you that sole or exclusive mandate to sell. I think that's another one. Or they don't want to accept your price recommendation. What do you say, Anushka? What other objections do we often get?
So I would definitely say it's always about price. And when it comes to in South Africa, they say commission, but I call it my professional fee. So if someone asks, what's your commission? I'll go like, you're referring to my professional fee, because then they know that we're serious. And then they would also say, but my neighbor sold. But then they sold it 2 years ago at X price in a different market, and we're in a shifting market at the moment. So I would definitely say it always comes down to price, and then obviously what they're prepared to pay us.
All right, so let's hover here a minute. Any of those will be good. Anushka, you pick out the one you want on price or commission or whatever. Commission is a good one. The model to follow, and this is actually taught in Bold and in other sales books. You know, I don't think Keller Williams invented it. When somebody gives you an objection, the model is acknowledge, isolate, address, and close. Where most agents fall short, guys, is this. They can acknowledge. Here's the examples, for example, of acknowledging. I understand. I see. Okay. I can see why you're saying that. I heard that from others. Perfect, awesome, groovy, etc. Knuckle bump. That's acknowledging. All right. So that's like when you're fishing. Sometimes when the fish grabs the hook, you don't want to like yank it right away. Let them win. Let them be in control. Remember, you've got the controller and the dominator in the conversation. The controller is asking questions. The dominator is doing the talking. We want to be the controller. We want them to talk. That's the only way we're going to learn what they want. And I don't know if obviously if you've ever worked in a server at a restaurant, we've all been in restaurants before, and we don't want the server to come over and start reading the menu to us. What are you hungry for? What do you like beef or chicken? Do you, whatever, you get my drift. So the visual I want everyone to understand is this. This is the key for this to work, because you don't want your presentation to be throwing sticky notes on the wall, starting to laundry list and tell, well, I've been in it for this many years, and this is how big our office is, and I live down the street, I play stickball and all this other stuff. It doesn't really matter. You know, you can talk about escargot. However, if I hate escargot, I'm not going to buy it from you. So you want to unload, then unpack. This is the isolation. For example, I'm going to demonstrate this now. Anushka.
Yes.
Hey, how about Ann? I know I can do that. That's pretty. All right. So let's say you have a commission issue. You know, so help me understand. I know there's no set fee, et cetera. So what would be typical for your office when you say your professional fee? What is that professional fee for you?
So that would be 7.5%, excluding VAT. Okay. But there's a lot of other agents from other companies working on as low as 5%. Okay. So that, yeah.
Let's just stay right there. Now, so she's the seller, and she says, "Hey, look, the other agents said they do it for less." The acknowledgement is, "I understand." Here's the isolation, though. Rather than attacking that and dealing with it, I'm going to say, Anushka, other than that, write those 3 words down. Those are magic. It's like when I asked my wife, you know, when we were dating, if she'd go out with me, she said no. I said, well, why? And well, you're stupid. Well, other than that, any other reason why you wouldn't go out with me? So other than that, is there any other reason you would not hire me today? So I'm role playing. Now you're the seller. What might you say? What could be another objection?
So if I'm the seller, I could say, you know what, first of all, I want to get as much money in my pocket. And I obviously want to sell it for more than what you suggested.
I got it. So it seems like the money is important to you, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And so it seems like all 3 of those things, you said, you know, less fee, money in your pocket, and you want to list it for more than I suggested, right? Are we at the center of the Tootsie Pop yet? You've got to go keep asking, okay, well, other than those 3 things, is there anything else that would keep us from doing business today?
Well, I need to get to my new destination quite quickly. So I need to sell very fast.
Okay, got it. Anything else?
Well, the reason why I'm selling, I need to sell quite quickly is because I need to get my kids into the new school. Okay,
there's the motivation. So from a timing standpoint, let's just say that what I'm waiting for her to do is say, no, there's nothing else. Now, when you get to the point They may stop at one. They may have 4 or 5. The reason you want to get it all on the plate is because how many of you guys have had a transaction before seemingly going well because maybe you handled, you thought that the commission really wasn't an issue. You thought you dealt with it, and all of a sudden something else pops up a day or two later, or a buyer or something else. They're not even returning your calls anymore. Well, something may have come up, or maybe you never uncovered something you should have uncovered up front. So when they give you the list, now I've got basically, when I talk about unload and unpack, when you go on vacation, you don't take 1 or 2 suitcases out of your car, take them inside, put the clothes away, put them in the dirty clothes, start the laundry, go get another suitcase. Don't you kind of unload the car? I want you to kind of have that metaphor in your mind, because what I want, Anushka's basically went through her list of things that were important to her. I didn't drill on any of them until I get to the bottom line. Now watch this. This is going to be magic. Do you think everything they say has the same weight, the same importance? There's a good chance it doesn't. So don't treat it like that. However, how do you know what's important? Anushka, let me ask you, basically, you gave me some great things here to talk about. Which one really is the most important issue for you right now?
To get my children in the school before in the new season. So that's the most important for me. They need to start a new school.
Do you realize, now she's role playing, and this could be exactly how it happens, that if you focus your conversation on that, the other issues may be minor. The other issues may not even come up again. Do you see how beautiful that is? You don't have to go and fight every little battle they have to say. Just win the important one. So if I can demonstrate for you how I can get you moved in time to get your kids in school. That's the listening part. Notice I'm modeling. When they're talking, you better be writing down. What are you writing down? The words they use, because the words they use are important to them. So I wrote down money in the pocket, you talked about commission and you want to sell it fast, kids in school. So if I can demonstrate to you today that I can sell your house quickly to get your kids in school and put the most money in your pocket, would you be willing to move forward with me?
I first want to know how you'll be able to do that, because it's exactly what all the other people were telling me.
Well, okay, I get that. However, if it could be done and you felt comfortable that I could do it, can we do business together?
I most definitely would give you an opportunity, yes.
Because when she said what she said, well, everyone's saying that. In the back of my mind, I already know, well, then if everyone's saying that, you're going to have to take a chance on someone. How are you going to feel comfortable hiring anybody if everyone says it? Does that make sense?
Totally. Love it.
So, and would it be worth a 15-minute conversation, Anushka, for me to show you how that can happen?
I would definitely listen.
All right, so we're good. I think we've got a few more minutes. So I might as well just finish this role play. Now, have I told her anything? Have I told her I've been in 37 years? I'm great. No, it doesn't even matter. She's lost. I'm giving her direction. So let me ask you then. Selling a house, if you want to sell a house fast or slow, who controls the speed of that?
The market.
Okay, well, the market does. But the market reacts to what?
Definitely price.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. And who controls the price?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Pardon me?
I didn't hear that. The question, Can you please repeat?
Yeah, sure. Who controls the price of your home?
Well, definitely not me as the messenger, but the market. The market dictates the price.
Well, yes, but however, when you're going to list your home, you are moving, correct?
Yes, I am.
And who has the final say in setting the asking price?
Me as the owner.
Right. So may I share with you then that you control the speed. So let me share. I'm going to show you. I have these slides prepared, and this is probably worthwhile. this works in any market, you guys, because I believe the market is, agents don't sell houses, you guys. Physics sells houses. Don't thump your chest because your home sold. That's like you being proud of the fact you put ice or ice cube trays in the freezer and they sold. Yay, I made ice. No, you didn't. You just put the water in the right environment. Our job is to get the property into the right environment. Now, for sale by owners, you know, they don't need us to sell their houses. They don't need us to sell their house. Anyone can give it away. They need a professional to help them sell it at the optimum market conditions. I mean, do we really need to go to a stylist to cut our hair? No, we can cut it. It's just going to look like we cut it, right? People go to professionals for results. So understand that. Understand this concept, because this is exactly what I would be showing a seller. So this is how we work. And I can't get into this. However, sometime if you have me back, I'll go into a little bit deeper. I do not believe a real estate agent's responsibility is to set the asking price. I believe it's our responsibility to set expectations. So Anushka, basically, may I share a picture with you? And I would literally draw this on a legal pad. I always draw because they can participate. They're getting to watch something other than me. Now, every property home out there has a price, and you said it, you were right on. There's a top market value for every home. Would you agree with that?
Totally.
Now, here, agents, hear me closely on this. Top market value is not determinable by doing a comparative market analysis. Top market value is not known until you expose it to the market. Do I have any yes, amens, preach on, brother? So I'll say that. Now, Anushka, I don't know where the top market value is. However, your choice as a seller is this. If we don't know where it is, we can take an initial asking price that would be above what we, now you're going to look at comparables. The comparables will all be below the line, right? If we don't know where the top market value is, just in theory, would you want to initially miss it above the line in case we're wrong, we can then come down? Or would you want to miss it below the line, which means you leave money on the table?
You don't want to leave money on the table.
Right. So understand that the speed of the sale has everything to do with price, because price sells houses. It's not price and condition. It's not price, condition, location. The condition and location all figure into a number. I've seen beautiful houses, beautiful models never sell. The condition's not an issue. I've had hoarder houses sell. What sold it? Price. It's not even marketing. Price sells houses. So Anushka, then basically, if the comparables are saying, I don't know how you would express this, so bear with me. All the comparables basically are somewhere between 350 and 400,000. So that would be, and the market is going up. Where would you want to position your home?
Well, any seller wants it right at the top.
All right. So what's the top
market price?
What's the top to you?
Well, whatever I can get into my pocket, most. So I've got a figure in my mind.
And what is that figure?
250,000.
Okay. And the comps are, all right. So, and so if we would agree to list it at 250,000, would you be willing to list your home with me today?
Yes, I will.
Okay. We're getting short of time. However, here's the other thing that I believe. If you've got a seller with motivation and they want an unrealistic sales price or an aggressive sales price, I'll ask that question. Hey, look, if we listen to that, are you ready to move forward? Yes. Okay, good. Knuckle bump. Now, then I ask the following question. What will you do if the market says no?
Wow. That's a hard to me.
Nice. Like that.
Because there's nothing you can do to cause an overpriced listing to sell, you guys. And there's nothing you can do to keep a well-priced listing not selling. So believe me, that's where the 3 outcome sheet comes in. So if she wants 250 and the comps are at 225, well, okay, I'll give you a benefit of the doubt. However, if we have low to no showings, that means we've got to reposition.
Yes.
Quit dying on the sword at the listing appointment. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Just ask them, what are you going to do if the market says no? Because you do want to get your kids in school, don't you? So
It seems that I'm just mentioning, it seems that we are running out of time here.
Yes, we are.
So there's some,
Great session.
they're gonna give me the hook, and yeah, if you want to email me any questions, I basically have a role play that I do every Tuesday. I'll tell you all about it. And it's just email me at denny@dennygrimes.com. I'll give you the link to my free master's role play class. It's a free class every Tuesdays, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. Denny@dennygrimes.com is my direct personal email. If you have any interest at all in learning more about how to ask great questions and do question-based listening enhanced conversational scripts, happy